Hello everyone, this is Knurgat, and today I wanted to bring you Speedroids. Speedroid just came out with a new box and it has some serious meta potential. And I played the deck a bit today. You see I'm at Legend 4. I started today at Legend 1. Pretty smooth sailing except for one game where I got absolutely clobbered by Orcust because they just had Bleeding Gears 2 set 3. What can you do? But this deck is pretty decent, pretty strong tier potential for sure. I'm going to talk more about my thoughts on the meta placement of this later. For now, we're going to go over the deck list, then I'm going to show you some replays, and then we can talk about how the deck stands currently. So for the deck list, there are 3 the Wind Channeler. It's the new box UR, so 3 is optimal, but you can get by with 2. It's just consistency to get your Terratop more often, which is a free one-off, and it is the best card in your deck because your deck functions on one-card combos with Yo-Yo, but Terratop gives you an additional body because it special summons itself and gets you Yo-Yo or anything else, and it just enables a lot more extension. Next up, we have Piper. Piper is level 4 tuner, which comes up, and also on summon, you get to excavate cards from top of the deck to the number of wind monsters you control, and you get to pick up one of them. Very good in the opening combo to pick up one of your back row to bolster your end board, which even without back row, your end board has usually 2 interruptions very consistently. Next up we have Takatomborg. This is a special summon, and it can special summon a tuner from your deck as well by attributing it, so you can choose whether this card functions as a tuner or a non-tuner, which is very helpful in making plays. It locks you into wind summons though, so keep that in mind because wind, for example, just locks you into wind effects, which is fine for turn 1 because you can still summon something like Zeta, whereas Takatomborg will prevent you from doing that. Next up, we have Car Turbo. This is just another tuner. I wanted to have another tuner because of Takatomborg grind games, so the follow-up. Sometimes you exhaust your tuners turn 1, and then it's nice to have another one. Also, it's a special summon from hand, so it can extend your plays and can do some cool stuff. We'll see that in the extra deck in a minute. Yo-Yo is your main starter. On summon, it summons a level 3 or lower Speedroid from your grave, which is usually going to be a tuner, but sometimes it can be a Terratop, because, again, we play Car Turbo, so sometimes on the follow-up you can go Yo-Yo, get back Terratop, and Terratop gets Car Turbo, or Takatomborg. Next tuner, we have Duke, which is the second most important tuner, because you can banish it to special summon Speedroid from hand or grave, so it can help you get 2 bodies in 1, and also help you get a body on field if your opponent disrupts you. And lastly, we have Red Dice. This is a requirement for the skill, basically, because the skill can special summon it from deck or graveyard, but it can also do some level modulations, which is very helpful. To round up the deck, we have 3 Book of Moon and 3 Forbidden Lands to play around stuff more often, because Book of Moon, for the mirror, I thought is very helpful to book the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So this is the new boss monster. Your skill basically makes this with 1 card, and it's a monster negate, and it also gains attack of the card negated if you destroy it, and if it battles a level 5 or higher monster, it also gains attack. You will also see it in the replays. Next up, we have Kite Drake, which is the counterpart to Crystal Wing. Crystal Wing is going first, this is going second. Basically, on summon, you can either negate the whole board or, more importantly, nuke the whole board, except itself. So you are on a free board with 3k attack, which is almost lethal. You just have to get 1000 more attack, which is not too hard to do in this deck. Next monster I have is Cyber Slash Harpy. This is useful to have a non-destruction disruption, and it's a level 8, which can also cover some plays that you do turn 1. It's definitely optional, but I liked it so far. We have Clearwing Synchro, which is a mandatory card for the skill to get your Red Dice, but it also is a decent card on its own in certain matchups, for example Odd Eyes, because this basically protects your level 5 or higher monsters from being targeted by monster effects, so it's basically another negate in certain matchups for specific effects. Sometimes you just synchro resolve though. Then we run Mistworm. Mistworm I put in combination with Card Turbo because this combination allows you to just, with the Terratop, and then extend it, so Terratop and Takatomborg, for example, or Terratop and Card Turbo. You can special summon this, and special summon this. And you do use all three to go into Mistworm. This definitely forces an interaction from the opponent. So either you get Mistworm through, or the opponent uses their interaction. You still have your normal summon, so you can keep playing after that. So that's why I run Mistworm. It also is, again, non-destruction removal, which again, I can't stress this enough. Very important in this meta because of Orcust. We run Psi Frame Mode Zeta, just another disruption. It's the most generic disruption, so if you don't end up getting a Lance, for example, you don't get into a Harpy Lady, you go into Zeta. Very good against something like that summons Link monsters, because Link monsters cannot be summoned into defense, so they cannot dodge the Zeta. Then we run Hagoita. This is a Speedroid, and it also can function as a disruption in some matchups by, as a quick effect, tributing it and increasing the level of all the monsters. So if the opponent is the opponent has to have specific levels on board, for example, for a Synchro Summon or an XD Summon, you can just use this to increase all the levels. Against PK, you have to be careful though, because if they have 2 3s on board, you don't want to use this because they can just go into the Rebellion Dragon immediately. You have to use it when there's only 1 PK on the board, so you make that level 4. And if they summon another, they have a 4 and a 3, and that's not compatible. And lastly, we have Puzzle. Puzzle is a level 4 non-tuner, and it's more of a stepping stone in your combos. You can, with Puzzle and Hyper, make a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon if you don't want to go the clearing route. And also it will provide you with follow-up, because if this is used for a Synchro Summon in the end phase, you can get to add a Speedroid from your graveyard to your hand. So that will mostly be Terratop or Yo-Yo, depending on how likely it is for your board to be cleared. But yeah, so Puzzle, definitely one of the cards I would 100% play, whereas like Slash, Mistworm, and Hagoita are like kind of flex. I'll talk about options later, but let's hop into the replays now. First replay is just like showing off a basic combo. I have like 3 basic combos and then one where I go into a board just to show you what you do going second. I have one like all the coin flips today, so I don't have a really good going second gameplay, but I hope the one that I show you is sufficient. So we go first here. Activate the skill. We are up against Gouki, so we don't make like different plays because we're against Gouki. I guess against Gouki you can say, okay, I'm going into Zeta because you just banish the Link 3, and that's usually a huge choke point. We start off here by using Win to get Terratop. Generally, even though this is your starter, by going into Terratop, you get Terratop and the starter anyway. So using Win to do that is like usually a good idea. So we summon Terratop, and now we have Terratop with Yo-Yo and a Takatomborg. This combo works with Terratop and Yo-Yo, or Terratop and Takatomborg. You just search the other, and then you can do the following. Use the skill to put a tuner into the grave, usually the Duke, because the Duke has 2 bodies in 1. Then you can go Yo-Yo, get back the Duke. You go into Clearwing, and then you use the skill to summon the red-eyed dice. Now, we have 3 monsters on board. We special Takatomborg, and now we use the Takatomborg to special out our Piper. The Piper now can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you already, because you used Win and you used Terratop and you used your skill 2 times, you thinned out a good amount of your deck. You see we have 11 cards left in our deck, and 5 of them are tech cards, because we have 1 Lance in hand, and there are 2 more Lances and a Book of Moon in there. So, we check the top 3 cards. You saw the Speedroid Pachinko. I tried that out. I'm going to talk about it later. So I tried some different lists during this playthrough, but We look at the top 3 cards, and we did not hit attack, so we just get a target on board for follow-up. And then we go Synchro with Clear Wing and the red-eyed dice into Crystal Wing. And then we use the Duke, get back our red-eyed dice, so we can go 3+1 into Puzzle. And then we can go Puzzle and the Piper to go to Slash Lady. This is the double 8 setup. We have the lands, that's where we go to Slash Lady. You could argue to just go for Zeta here because we're up against Gouki, but Slash and lands is also decent here. So end phase, Puzzle will add us the Yo-Yo back to hand, and we pass to our opponent. So they will start with Space Typhoon on lands, fine. You could argue to chain the Forbidden Lands on the Crystal Wing because you don't want them to mind control it. Mind control is a tech that has come up in the last time, so definitely should have been the play here, but it's not that important in this particular game. So they go Super X. I negate the Super X because the only thing they could do here is use Headbat, like they search Headbat, they can special Headbat, and I would be punished if they have exactly Headbat and another Gouki and rematch. So they would have to have either rematch or Headbat in hand already and another Gouki for that. So Super X searches the rematch here. I was like, oh, do they have the Headbat? Because they can't use the rematch here on just the Super X in the grave. But they don't, they just pass. So I expect to be an Octo Stretch in this hand because otherwise they would set back row. So I just go double Yo-Yo. And in this case I go red-eyed dice. It's very nice because red-eyed dice can just do any level. Just adjust the level of the Yo-Yo. In this case I just said I want to go to Stardust Charge, draw the card, maybe draw a tech. There was no tech here, so I just go Taktomborg, special, and thin out the deck a bit. And there was a delay here, and here you see the Octo Stretch, but we could negate it, but it doesn't matter, we have enough damage anyway. So that was like a basic Harpy Slash setup. So for the next one, we have this replay. So this is the one where I said I was going second. It was not the best going second setup, but again, I just won all the coin flips today, so at least I wanted to show you like what plays you can make. So opponent goes first on the rank up game. And oh yeah, our hand was very bad too, so with a bad hand we still managed to pull through it. So Treason Phantom, they reveal 2. Know the play. They banish, get back Silent Boots, then they set 2, and they go for the combo. Detach the material, get the rank up, use the rank up, and that's it. So these 2 back row are unknown, so I was like, okay, with this hand I kind of have to see what I can do. It was really like unfortunate that I drew the Duke, because if this was in the deck, this would be way easier, but like drawing both dice and Duke is very tough because these are the ones you want to get out of your deck. So we use the skill just to thin out the deck a bit. We normal sum the card, and I was like, okay, if they have like a Compulse or a book, I just lose here. I mean, not necessarily because they only have 1 monster, but a book or a Compulse would stop my play here. But on the summon, they just activate Phantom Wings, and I was like, okay. So they just protected this from destruction. I was like, okay, before they activate the other back row to book this or something, I'm gonna use the window they gave me to special summon another monster on board, and they opted to negate the special summon from hand. So I was like, okay, I'm using Pachinko card. This is a tech card for not this matchup, but it is a tech card, and I use it to discard the Duke. Now I know that this card cannot be destroyed because of the wings, but I just want to get the card in the grave. And they use the Phantom Knight's Sword. I think they forgot that they had the protection, so they have another destruction protection. Or do they? Because what we do here is we special summon the red-eyed dice through the effect of our Duke from the hand, and we go into Clearing Synchro deck. Then we use our skill to get back the dice, and what we do here is 7+1. We go into Kite Drake. Because our Clearwing can't run over this because this doesn't have a level. This is a rank. So we go into Kite Drake, and Kite Drake on summon destroys the whole board. Now you might say, why do you do that? Because they have the sword, it cannot be destroyed. But if you read the card, it says, if the target would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. Now, because the Kite Drake destroys the whole board, you cannot substitute the destruction on the Phantom Knight sword because it will also be destroyed. So this cannot protect this. And what will happen here is it will be destroyed. Now, I attacked and I was like, okay, they probably keep the Phantom Knight sword in the grave, because if they resurrect the Greaves and I attack it, it gets banished, so their extension is gone. Any Phantom Knight monster they would draw would be a Breaksword play, Breaksword pop this, special summon, and so on and so forth, but they decided their life points are more important. This doesn't end up mattering, because as you can see they just draw a back row, so it didn't matter, they didn't draw a monster. And I'm just going to summon Yo-Yo, get back the dice adjust the level to go into Star's Charge Warrior. I played Star's Charge Warrior here. If I had Hagoida, you just adjust to a different level. Or like you don't use the effect of the dice at all, and you have 4+1. So I attack with the Charge Warrior. I drew the lance, which I kept in hand, because if this is anything that stops the Kite Drake, I can just lance it and it's lethal still. So 2000, and attack, they don't use it, and it's lethal. Now, this is not the most impressive second going, but I just could not find them. You can do very cool plays with Mistform though, for example. Or you can go into Kite Drake without using your normal summon, just by using Turtle. So, next replay. We are up against Yami-Yugi. I believe we go first, yes. So, Yami-Yugi, just start of the game, you check if it's Dark Magician, because the Dark Magician skill will announce itself. If it's not, it's probably Destiny Hero. So, there's no skill, and our hand is full of monsters. Use the skill to put the Duke in the grave, normal summon Yo-Yo, get it back, and we go into Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Then we use the other skill, special summon our dice, and then we special summon Tarkton and go into Puzzle. Now, we use the Duke, get back the dice, and we adjust the level of Puzzle to 5, and then we special the card turbo, because 5+3, we can make Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Now, there are other setups where you can also do these two without having a Speedroid Red dice. Mostly when you can get the Piper into rotation via Tarkton or the skill, then you can do Piper plus Puzzle into this, and then you just leave the Clearwing on the board. But we just went this round. We have Crystal Wing, we have Clearwing. It's like a double negate. This is dependent on what your opponent plays. And then the Puzzle will trigger and give us back the Tarkton. Because we still have the Pachinko card in hand, and I wanted to tune her with it, that I can special summon, and we used the card, so I just got the Tarkton back. So opponent goes tanky and reveals their own Lunalight. Now, Lunalight can do something which is annoying for this deck, and that is, we'll see it in a second, the Saber Dancer and chaining with Martin, chaining to Crimson Fox, targeting my Clearwing, and then chaining 3, they go Emerald Bird, which summons something back. So they chain block the Crimson Fox, so I cannot negate it with Crystal Wing, and I am open to an attack on my 0 attack monster. Now, the opponent is smart and didn't make the Crystal Wing 0 attack, because if they attack the Crystal Wing can gain the attack back, whereas the Clearwing can't. So this is currently sitting duck. Opponent adds the Lunalight trap, I don't care, and they go Martin, bounce, and they normal summon it back to go into Photon, Papillo, Purative. And Then I want to use this to switch my red-eyed dice into attack, so they can swing with both over these, leave my Crystal Wing, and I'll just go for lethal. Obviously I cannot let that happen, and I go Crystal Wing, negate it, and the important thing is here that it only had one material here, so the Saber Dancer only gains like 200 more attack, which is not lethal, it's 3700. So if they don't have like another play to do damage here or get like more Lunalights engraved, they cannot do damage, like lethal damage here. They just kill the Clear Wing, which is annoying, but it's fine, and that's it. So here, I know that this is the Lunalight trap. So I have a pretty simple lethal line here, and that is a special summon Talkaton Borg, use the effect, go into Piper, and I use Piper effect. Now, on the Piper effect, I chain Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Why is that? Because if this negates and destroys the card, it gains the attack. So if you see 3000 plus 1000 is 4000, very important. And if they have a Kite Raid, they can't use it. If they have a Kuriboh, that would be annoying, but they have to somehow chain block the Fox again on the Crystal Wing. And if they have a Sphere Kuriboh, this goes to defense and they can't lethal me. So I felt it was best to just go for a game here. I try and go for a game, and so we negate our own card, and we boost ourselves up to 4000. Now, Crystal Wing on attack of a level 5 or higher monster will gain the attack of that monster. So basically, you apply whatever damage that the Crystal Wing has as attack, which is 4000 because that's why we negated our own card. So we gain 3700 and we do 4000 damage to the Lunalight player. How does it feel? So, last replay against Neb Nailer, which I think should be the third setup we can do. So, against Yuya, and we go first, rank up game, and you see the skill Raging Pendulum, so you already know what you're playing against. We opened 2 Talkaton Borg, Forbidden Lands. Oh, this wasn't the other setup. This was a suboptimal hand, but the ranking it was pretty nice, or like the follow-up plays. So we have 2 Talkaton Borg, Forbidden Lands, and Book of Moon, which some of you might think, oh, no, this is a brick, but it's actually a very playable hand. You special summon, and then you tribute, go into Piper. Piper basically draws you a card. You get card turbo, and you mill just to thin your deck. Probably should have done that before I did Piper, so I actually have a higher chance of drawing back row instead of a tuner. But we go into Clear Wing, and then we use the skill to go into Crystal Wing and set 2 and pass. So, opponent starts off with Skull Corbett, we let that go. We end this matchup. You don't want to use this, the negate on the small stuff because they have a lot of small stuff, and you don't want them to get into Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. So you want to basically negate a monster that they invested resources in, so that they cannot go into Raging Dragon after. So you just sit here, and they go for Pentcall, discard the Noble Dragon, it's the best discard, and they get 2 Magicians into the hand. They will scale Oath Dragon and Dragon Pit, and then use the skill to put stuff on their extra deck and get a card into hand. Then they use the Dragon Pit, targeting my Forbidden Lands, and I use it on the Skullcrabber Joker. Doesn't really matter. It would only matter if they have Cosmic here, and they use the Cosmic on this Book of Moon, and then I'm kind of sad because then I can't Book of Moon the Skullcrabber Joker. So they use Oath Dragon, add back the Dragon Pulse, and then they go for a Pendulum Summon of 3. So yeah, full board. And you already see 3 4s and a 7. So I know that this card is not threatening for me because they don't have a second 7. What's threatening for me is the 4s, but I cannot book a 4 because they have 3, right? If I book 1, they can still do an XD play. So I just let them do their play here, and they go into Rebellion. And now they use Rebellion, try to negate, to gain the attack of my Crystal Wing, which obviously I have to negate because otherwise this would have a little attack and they can just run over it. So negate and destroy. Also, this takes away the possibility of All Eyes Raging Dragon, which is also very important. So we get this, we get a lot of attack, and they go Noble Dragon. Noble Dragon to target the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon to get back. Now, because this has to reduce the level, reduce its level by 3, and if you do special summon that card, I decide to book the Odd Eyes, because if it's face down, it doesn't have level anymore, and so it cannot be reduced. Opponent has to pass, and we draw Yo-Yo. Very good top deck, because now we can make more plays. We go Yo-Yo, get back the dice, increase the level of Yo-Yo to 6, so he can go to Zeta. Zeta will protect us from attacks, basically, because if they summon something in attack, I can just remove it. If they summon something in defense, that means they don't threaten to lethal me. So we attack and we attack. We attack both because they both go back to their pendulum deck, but they can only summon one, so we just get rid of both of them. I could have used Zeta to banish the level 4 and then dealt 3000 damage, but that's not really worth it. I'd rather have the card. They use Oath Dragon to get this back from the extra deck though, but we made them use the effect on this and not something else. So they go for a Pent 3. So they summon everything in defense because we have Zeta, and I look at the levels and it has 7, 4, and 6. Not that I can do anything right now, but it's still a good thing to keep an eye on. Then they use Oath Dragon from the field to add back Wisdom Eye, and now they summon back Noble Dragon Magician. So they go into Odd Eyes Meteor Burst, and they decide to not use the effect here, because otherwise I would probably Crystal Wing negate, because otherwise they get 2 bodies on board, which is annoying for me. There you go. Normal summon the Wisdom Eye, and overlay for Queen Dragoon Jin. Now they summon this in attack mode, which I don't know why, but this basically, once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card to target 1 level 5 or higher dragon type monster and give it special summon. It's basically a 1 card or like 1 Xyz Raging Dragon setup, so I just decide to get rid of it with the Zeta. The material also falls off, which is nice. And then go for Tuning Magician. Now, this is a level 1 tuner that they can special summon if they have 2 magicians in the scales. I was like, okay, they can summon a tuner, fine by me, because what are they going to do with the level 8, right? Which I gain life points, and they lose life points. I was like, okay, fine. Level 8 they summon, but they summon Crystal Link Synchro Dragon, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have negated that. So, big mess up from my part, and the way this works, so Synchro Dragon was a Synchro Dragon. My opponent is the turn player, so their effect on gaining attack, because it battles a level 5 or higher monster, will trigger first. And then my effect to gain attack will be Chain Link 2. Now my opponent played it right, because do not use the negation here on the attack boost, because if you do use the negation on the attack boost, I can use my negation on your negation, and yours is destroyed. So opponent decides to just leave it as is, and that's the correct choice, because what happens now is Chain Link 2, my Crystal Wing gains attack, goes to 6,000, and then their Crystal Wing resolves and gains my 6,000 on top. So I take 3,000 damage, my Crystal Wing is gone. They end up with a negate. How do I play around that with just a card turbo in hand? So I top deck, win, and I get my Zeta back. So what I do here, I use the Zeta targeting the Crystal Wing. Now the opponent obviously doesn't want to lose their monster for a potential lethal and negates it. Okay, fine. I use Win because they don't have a negation left, and I still have the Terratop. So what I do is I special summon Terratop, which adds me Takaton Borg. Takaton Borg can special summon itself, and then I use Duke from my grave to special summon back my card turbo. So now we have 3 plus 3 plus 3, and that means Mistworm. Now Mistworm can target all 3 and bounce them back. But my opponent has 2,600 life and the Mistworm only has 2,500. But card turbo has another effect, which when it's in the grave you can banish it and another Speedroid in the grave to boost all your wind monsters by 800. So now the Mistworm goes up to 3,300, which is enough to lethal. So that's it for the replays. Let's go back to the deck list and talk a bit about how I see this deck in a meta. and card choices. So for the synchros, I said before that this is not core, this is not core, and this is not core. However, there's a replacement for this that you have to use if you don't want to use this. Cards you can play is something like Hammer the Conquering Bow, Star's Charge in case of Hagoita. It depends on what you want. Charge is nice to do with like 2/3s, whereas Hagoita is only with a tuner and the dice, non-tuner and the dice. Then other options. Forbidden Lands, you can play Cosmic. Forbidden Lands I like because Mind Control on Crystal Wing is just backbreaking because it immediately takes out 2 of your disruptions, Crystal Wing and your other monster that you have on the field. So I like lands, and also lands synergize better with Harpy Slash because you can just chain it onto anything and then bounce. You saw the Pachinko card. Why did I have this in my deck? Because if your opponent goes for Evil Swarm Nightmare, this deck has a really hard time playing through it if you don't draw Book of Moon. So the Pachinko card just gives you an in-engine out to that card. A card that has been cut recently is Speed Recovery. It is a very, very strong card, but the deck is full of very, very strong cards, and it's hard to cut one of them, and this just happens to be one of the less strong cards. So you can definitely play around with it. Let me know if it works well for you. But for now, I just have a clean-cut 20-card list playing like this. So these are options that I would recommend to you. Try out. Let's talk about the place in the meta. So obviously we have Orcust meta, and is this deck better than Orcust? I don't think so. Especially in the direct matchup against Orcust, you have a very big issue, and that is this little card here. So a lot of Orcust players have started to play Ibli again, and Ibli lock in this deck is just the skill says if you use the skill, you cannot summon monsters that are not synchro monsters or wind machine, wind dragon monsters. Ibli says you can only link summon, so yeah, it's just like you cannot summon at all if they give you an Ibli. It's just unless you Book of Moon it. You have to Book of Moon it, and even then, if you Book of Moon it, I had a game today. Orcust opponent sets 3 has Ibli on my field. I can book my Ibli, but I still had a Terratop in hand, and I cannot special summon it. I have to normal summon it, and I also had Yo-Yo, so I cannot do my plays. So that is very tough. The second best deck of the meta, in my opinion, Rockets. And Silver Rocket can be a huge pain because if Silver Rocket rips your Clear Wing, that will automatically take away the Clear Wing, but it also takes away the ability for you to get a free red-eyed dice, which can be very important going second. So if you see a lot of Rockets, consider playing the second Clear Wing, but the extra deck is so tight, I don't want to really use that slot. And then the third deck that is relevant in the meta, I see Speedroids somewhere like in between, or like the third best deck is Odd Eyes or Speedroid in my opinion. I think these two are the best, and Speedroid looks, unless it flops, but like it feels to me like it's on the same level or like a bit lower than Odd Eyes, because Odd Eyes has just like this huge OTK potential. And against Odd Eyes, if you go first, you can do a decent setup against them. But if they go first, the issue there is they can go Steel Swarm Roach. It is a similar problem like Evil Swarm Nightmare. So again, you're reliant on Book of Moon, or you play the Pachinko card for that, which has issues in other matchups. For example, against Orcust, it's not very useful. Either way, I think this is a very cool deck to play. I like that it has go second capabilities. It's very, very consistent. It draws cards. I like that a lot. And it plays one of my favorite monsters of all time, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Shout out to Umzo if you're watching this. But yeah, let me know how Speedroid worked for you. How do you like the deck? Will you still go into the box? Do you have questions? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.